Hello, I'm Steven,
And I'm Aaron.
and we have just seen
The Rule of Jenny Penn.
a new film that is out in theaters right now, starring John Lithgow, Jeffrey Rush, and that is directed by James Ashcroft. So, this one I'm particularly interested in because I get the feeling that we might have a difference in opinion on this one. I liked this a lot.
We definitely do because I did not like this very much at all. I really got kind of bored and tired of it after a while. I think there's some really good ideas in it, and I like the concept, and I like how ridiculous and kind of how far you could take it, and I like the casting, but I think it's just way too long, and it gets really tedious after a while. So I guess if you want to go ahead and set up like what the plot is, what the basic premise is.
Yeah, Jeffrey Rush plays a judge named Stefan Mortensen who suffers a stroke that leaves half his body paralyzed and leaves him wheelchair bound. So he submits himself to a nursing home where he is cared for, and while he is there, he soon finds himself terrorized by a fellow patient, played by John Lithgow, with a puppet on his hands that he calls Jenny Penn.
Yeah, and not only is he terrorizing Jeffrey Rush's character, you kind of see that he's terrorizing everybody else in the facility, but nobody seems to notice or do anything about it. So I guess we'll get like some of the things I think we would agree on out of the way. The performances.
Yeah, Jeffrey Rush is excellent.
Yeah, Jeffrey Rush is great in the movie.
I feel like I haven't seen him in a while. The
It's-
last thing I remember seeing him in was Gods of Egypt.
Oh no, he was in that.
Yo, yeah, where he
I was
like
thinking Barbosa the whole time. I guess that's the last thing or just probably the thing I remember him most for. So, yeah, it was nice to see him here. He was really great in the movie.
he captures the vulnerability of someone who has incurred a stroke very well and portrays the helplessness of someone who is just losing all of their faculties over time extremely well. There are some really like riveting sequences I found, and particularly one early on where he's in a bathtub and the nurse has to leave him for a moment to go get a towel, I think, and then he just kind of sinks into the tub and finds himself unable to get a grip on anything to pull him up to the surface for air.
That sequence I found confusing because I wasn't sure if he was trying to kill himself or if he was just kind of sitting back and then realized, oh, this was a bad idea, and then he couldn't pull himself out of it.
I thought it was pretty clear. The nurse is like trying to assist him, and he says to her, "I'm stronger than I look." And then she walks away to go get a towel, I think it is. And then he lays back in the tub and then realizes that he has screwed up.
Well, you're probably right, but to me, like that immediately read like he was telling her that to get her out of the room so he could, try to drown himself.
Yeah, I didn't see it as that way. His character seemed pretty confident that he was going to get better all throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But his condition is just exacerbated and made worse by the fact that he has this tormentor always bothering him in the night, always making noise for him so that he can never have a moment's peace and never a moment to just rest and think about getting better. There's a scene early on where he's trying to do something as simple as get a grip on a cup, and he can't do that because John Lithgow's character Dave is cackling like a maniac at the television deliberately, and all the other sounds of the nursing home around him are just compounding, and it's driving him crazy and making him incapable of focus.
He's not only like laughing at a television, he's laughing at a television that's showing hyenas laughing. So it's just like double the laughter, just like compounded on itself. Making his situation worse. And then like the other part of this with the performances is obviously John Lithgow as the villain. He's great. He's fantastic. He's got tremendous screen presence. He really feels like this
agent of terror and chaos.
Just an evil force that just terrorizes this like nursing home.
Yeah, he's fantastic in this. I guess John Lithgow is just an honorary Brit because he seems to keep playing these British characters.
Yeah, he's really like kind of unsettling looking too. Like he's got these blue contacts in for his character here. He's got like the messed up teeth. He's got a doll that he wears on his hand that is missing its eyeballs. So it's a creepy kind of image to just have kind of lurking around and then terrorizing you.
You know what I was thinking? They should never ever do this, but if they ever tried to reboot Father Ted, there's your Father Jack.
Yeah.
He looks like Father Jack
He
Hackett
does.
from Father Ted.
He does. He even kind of like, I don't know, sounds like him a few times with some of the things that he does. When you think a guy terrorizing a nursing home, you think, pranks and like grumpy old men style humor. But this movie actually like does some really dark stuff with its villain.
That was the thing that surprised me most about this. You showed me the trailer, and I thought it was going to be like dark comedy.
Yeah, it almost plays like a comedy, but here it's definitely very serious.
I was very taken aback and pleased by how unsettling I found this. The ways that he terrorizes him are sometimes simple, but just cruel and mean. He's just a vicious, loathsome character.
So performances are both great from the central characters. Some of the supporting characters, there's another patient there, a New Zealand guy who is formerly like a soccer coach, I think is what he was.
Some sort of athletic person in the past whose like knee gave out, I think it was.
Yeah, but he's Jeffrey Rush's character's kind of
he's his
roommate.
ally in this. Yeah.
And they're constantly going back and forth trying to figure out how they're gonna get over on John Lithgow's character.
It's actually kind of one-sided because Jeffrey Rush is the only one actively trying to thwart John Lithgow. He tries to tell the nurses, but they don't believe him, and he tries to get his friend. He tries to get him to cooperate and like corroborate his story, but he never does.
Yeah, because he's been there. He's been terrorized. He's afraid, and John Lithgow's kind of bent everybody to his will.
Which I think that's the overarching theme of this movie, and it's established right from the opening scene of Jeffrey Rush in the court.
About power.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about culpability, and particularly culpability through inaction. If you're just sitting on the sidelines watching as this guy terrorizes someone and not doing anything about it, you're as culpable in that as the who's perpetrating it.
That's true. The movie starts with him, judging a case, and that's kind of his final point. He's telling the victim of the crime after he sentences the criminal, like, you're not really much better than this guy I'm putting away because you put these people in the situation where they could be victimized, and
you knew what they were doing and you did nothing to stop it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens in the nursing home. Jeffrey Rush's only ally, he doesn't do anything out of fear. And then the nursing home staff are also culpable because they don't do anything. They never believe Jeffrey Rush. They never take his plea seriously, but they do take John Lithgow seriously whenever he tries to bend them to his will. And I think it's to do with the fact that he's been there as long as he has. He's been there since the 60s.
That's kind of like, where to me it was kind of more about like power and how it's stripped away from you either by old age or by circumstance or by illness or by status. Like, he is a judge, and I didn't like his character in the beginning, and I think it's kind of by design. He has a few lines of dialogue where he talks about people in kind of a negative way. He sees people below him as kind of less than him. His character is extremely well read and knowledgeable. He's always quoting like poetry or books, and he seems to hold himself to a higher standard than everybody else and thinks that he's better than everybody.
Yeah, early on in the movie, his friend, he tries to recommend a Tom Clancy book, but Jeffrey Rush writes it off as all of those books are about the same thing.
Yeah, they're all the same thing. There's a section where I think it's like during lunch or something, they're like talking about sharing food or something like that. And he has a line about socialism being appealing to people who have nothing.
Yeah. Communism is most appealing to those who have less. Something to that effect.
Yeah, and to me that was just like, man, this guy really doesn't think much of people, it seems. And even kind of goes back to the beginning where he's judging the case. He puts a criminal away for like sexually abusing some children. Then he kind of confronts the mother saying, you knew this was going on. You're not a victim. Just really kind of talking down to people in this situation. Like, he may be right, but his relationship to people, regular everyday people, seems to be, totally out of whack, and he just doesn't get it. But then when he's hit with the stroke, suddenly he has no power anymore. He has no power to judge people. He has no power to put people away. He can't like get up to go to the bathroom. He can't lift a cup. He can't do anything except just kind of sit there and have the world happen to him instead of him being the one in charge. And that was another idea I really liked, but it's kind of resolved like halfway through the movie. I thought that was going to be like his entire arc was realizing, I understand what it's like to be helpless and powerless. And then maybe, it's not as black and white as, like you were saying, being culpable for something or not doing something. And like you were saying, John Lithgow, I think, gets away with a lot of the stuff because
he's been there since the 60s, therefore he has seniority, no pun intended.
Yeah, he's been there a long time, so he's a staple of the place. And, who's going to come after the big guy whose name means something around here?
I also noticed that throughout the movie, there seems to be no surveillance cameras in the nursing home, and the staff, their presence seems to vanish slowly as the movie goes on, as John Lithgow's character, he gets more extreme and he just dominates. They seem to vanish, and I think that's very deliberate. I think that also ties into the whole thing about turning a blind eye. I don't think this movie is supposed to be taken 100% literally. I think it does become very metaphorical and symbolic, and I think that the nursing home staff vanishing over the course of the movie is supposed to be like the visual metaphor of them turning a blind eye and just not being there. They're there, but they're not there when it counts.
Yeah, you may be right. That was kind of one of my issues was the movie does get more fantastical with its visuals as it goes on, but I couldn't help but think the entire time, like, I know there's staff around. Like, where are the people at? How is this going unnoticed? Like, where are the security? Where are the nurses? Where are the cameras? But you may be right. That probably is something they were going for. To me, it didn't really play entirely that way. I just kept thinking, like, this is the worst run facility I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think it's entirely literal.
I like the ideas. I like the themes they're playing with. I like the performances a lot. Like I said, it just gets tedious after a while, and I feel like I'm watching the same scenes over and over again where, John Lithgow terrorizes somebody. Then we have a break where we're kind of, dealing with the aftermath or him trying to figure out what his next play is going to be or how he's going to respond to him. And then we get another scene where he terrorizes him, and it just kind of goes on and goes on and goes on.
I can see that why someone might watch this and think it's too repetitive and that the runtime could have been truncated, because there is a lot of elder abuse in this. And maybe... I also thought to myself that if Mike Stoklaza from Red Letter Media watches this, he's going to die laughing.
Yeah. This is like prime material for him. Also, this is based on a short story. So, like, just like The Monkey, I felt like this should have been like 20 minutes shorter.
I was thinking of that when the credits rolled and it said based on the short story. I was like, wow, I am having the exact opposite reaction to this that I did to The Monkey. Both movies also have like an inanimate object that's like a threatening force. The monkey in The Monkey and the hand puppet Jenny Penn in this film. And both of them, I think, are effective.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This I just thought was like way too long. I was really getting bored, especially after his character kind of fulfills his arc and realizes, oh, you know what, I'm not all that great when it comes down to it, and we're all susceptible, to things like age and illness, and we have our power and ability stripped from us, and then after that, it's just kind of boring.
Complete opposite from me. I was thoroughly engaged the whole way through. I was very surprised by how dark it got and how unsettled I actually felt. Again, the opposite of The Monkey. Which was neither funny nor scary. This actually was unnerving and funny at times in dark ways. Liked this a lot. I had a feeling you didn't.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure what you thought, but yeah, I definitely didn't like it very much. I was with it for a while, and then it just kept going, and then it just kept going, and I was like, oh my god, this is the longest hour and 45 minutes.
Damn. Well, what is your final number grade on a scale of 1 to 10?
Solid 6 out of 10. The stuff that's really good is really good, and like I said, there are some great ideas that they're playing with here, but it's just way too long. It should have been like 20 minutes shorter. I think it would have had a little bit more impact.
Yeah, I'll give this a 9. I really liked this. I think this is the best thing I've seen this year so far. We're only in month 3, but this is the winner so far.
Yeah, no, I would watch this at home on a rental. I would not go out of my way to see this.
I'm very happy I did.
So that's the rule of Jenny Penn. I say see it.
See it at home.